Good afternoon, Overwatch fans, and welcome back to day 2 of Open Division 2022. It has been quite a set of matches that we have already had, and there's more Overwatch to be played over the number of weekends. We'll be covering this amazing action today. We're going to be starting off in the winner's bracket round 3. We'll be seeing Cryx versus definitely not UCSD, if you get my drift. I'm Captain Jack. I'm going to be your play-by-play for today, joined by Misfit on analyst and Sam Ter and Joey on production. Misfit, welcome to Open Division and the craziness that it brings out of all of us.
Yeah, no, it really is open season out here in Open Division, and I couldn't be more happy to be here. We've got a great match for you tonight. We're getting into the later rounds of Open Division, which is the gameplay is going to continually get better and more competitive, which I'm looking forward to. I'm really excited to start this one off. Our first map is, of course, going to be Nepal, starting off on that control map type. One of my personal favorite map types, just because it plays so differently than all the other map types. You know, each point seems to have its own meta, its own comps that we see, and it's just a really, really fun time. We get to see what each of the teams can flex to, because a lot of the stuff you see on these control maps, you don't get to see on other maps, which is what makes it so fun.
That's absolutely true. And the thing that I love about this matchup is that we've kind of got a little bit of I've been seeing a lot lately the collegiate versus like old guard of the like path to pro Overwatch scene kind of going at it, which is really kind of showing how far collegiate has come from where it was a couple of years ago, at least considering the Overwatch scene. You know, both of them seem to be very kind of, separated from one another. You know, collegiate plays in like NECC or EGF, and then Path to Pro is just everybody else that isn't in college or decided or is out of college or just didn't want to play in collegiate. And seeing those two kind of come together has been a very interesting meeting of the minds, because even the metas have been different from area to area. Collegiate being a little bit more streamlined, a little bit more focused, because many of them have dedicated coaching and stuff like that. Whereas you come to collegiate or you come to Path to Pro, and like you said, sometimes it's just open season. It's 6 people threw their hat in the ring at the last minute. We're like, we're playing and we're gonna do stuff. We'll figure it out along the way. So it's been interesting kind of watching this continued melting pot of Open Division kind of opening up to that new area of competition. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that heart and punch that bell on your screen so you get notified every time Reflash is online with amazing Open Division action. You don't want to be missing it. It's the first that we've gotten season thus far. Now, Cryx definitely has a little bit of a history, placing top 8 in the recent Natter Beta Bash, or Beta Clash, rather. I like the alliteration a little bit better, but which helps, I guess, if you're Overwatch 2. Doesn't help out a whole lot since we're playing in Overwatch 1, unfortunately. And then UCSD coming in with players that have history in Open Division and various other tournaments across the scene, where we've seen some people playing in the Empowerment Cup and participate in other tournaments across the arena. But other than that, this team doesn't have a whole lot of history, so it's their point this time on stream to kind of make their mark, Misfit.
Absolutely, and that is one of the things that Open Division is meant to do. It's meant for people to form their own teams, fight together, and make a name for themselves in this scene. And I couldn't be more excited to see what each of these teams has for us. I do want to talk a little bit briefly about our first map, which is going to be Nepal, and some of the things that we might see here. Of course, in these high levels, and with the game being relatively balanced right now, we do see a lot of different teams doing a lot of different things. But I would say the standard we'll expect to see here. On points like Shrine, we'll definitely probably see something brawly. We could also see some Brig Zen. It kind of depends on what these teams go for. Since we're in the higher levels, I would honestly expect to see the Brig Zen, but I don't put it past anyone to run something like a 6-man composition here. We really never know until we get into the map. On things like Sanctum, we expect that Brig Zen. We also expect to see maybe some double shield. Ball, however, being very, very strong there, does kind of seem to reason that we would see more of the Brig Zen comps there. And then, of course, on our final point, we typically just see Mega Brawl. I'm blanking on the name right now, but it's the one in the little house. It's got those really tiny choke points getting into the point. Village,
Shrine.
as I'm being told. There we go.
Or, yes, Village.
Yes, that is a very, very brawly point for the most part, just because of the way the point is set up. But we'll have to see. Never know what these teams will pull out until we get in the match.
That's absolutely true. And I think something that's going to be interesting in team kind of adjust with those aspects of the game, and it looks like we are going to be starting off on Village now. As you mentioned, it's definitely something that I found interesting, because some teams are really big about holding the out in the open area, where other teams are definitely more focused on the objective. So let's see what they decide to come out of the gate with.
Yeah, no, it does look like we are seeing that brawl come out from Cryex here. I do like this. The Sim Mei is kind of what we see. These teams like to get onto the point with that Sim TP and then set up turrets, have walls, and kind of just hold down that area. We see on the side of UCSD, though, they are opting for more of the counter comp. And that's going to be, they're going to have this Pharah sit outside point and just spam in a ton of that damage with the Mercy boost. And it's just going to be, it's going to come down to how well Cryex can mitigate that damage with the defense matrix and the shields, and whether or not they can hold down that point before USCSD is able to get picks.
Alright, let's go ahead and see the engagement already coming in. CSD, Master Slam coming in from Bug Lingley right there. They go ahead and create some space for the team. Now this dive composition is going to have to rotate in and try to get some picks before the setup comes in on the objective. Cracks coming in with quite a bit of CC to try to slow some things down with the Maywall Ore locking down on one side. That's going to make the defense hard for the side of UCSD as the objective. Ore going to Cryex, but the fight is far from over. Ore seems able to get that first pick onto Hirsch, and the barrage! Massive from Zinnia. Goes ahead and cleans it right on up. Only 14% for Cryex as UCSD takes the point.
Yeah, no, that's why I prefer the counter comp in this situation. As you saw there was nothing for Cryex to really engage on, because if they walk out into the open space, they're going to get hit by Princess and Zinnia on those DPS characters, and that is just so much damage. They can't get in, the Rein can't swing, and it's just very difficult to run this comp when you don't have control of the point.
My ultimate is charged.
That's absolutely true. They got to figure out a way at least to get to the objective quickly, and that teleporter is going to be a good way of doing so. Amplification Matrix out for Farova. They go ahead and try to force healing through it in the opposite direction. Bog having the difficulty staying alive, ends up getting melted by the rifle of Karova. Will get rezzed up though by him, putting them back into this fight. Minefield now being released by Bog to try to see if they can zone out the objective best way they can. Maywall though going to keep them from advancing. Go ahead and see the sound barrier invested. Bumblebee trying to keep everybody up in the fight, but Zinnia's got the barrage back online. You see Hirsch just trying to do everything they absolutely can as a D.Va player to keep them out. The barrage comes out, finds the support. That might be enough to keep things going in their favor, but the self-destruct from both sides finds both D.Vas, surprisingly enough, and no one else. So
and look at
definitely
this, the point still hasn't flipped.
That is true.
Point.
The Feed Fest is going well in their favor. Never Fade Away does end up falling in the midst of the Blizzard. Kindred, the last to fall. They're able to get themselves up to a respectable 70%. Now the barrier invested from the side of Riot Mazing as they go ahead and keep things going. Bob now invested from Princess to try to get some strength on the objective when it comes to that DPS. Big health pool for the Bob, and it seems like mostly Cryex is just ignoring it for the most part. The percentage continuing to climb as the Feed Fest allows them to stay on this point. Kindred trying to hold on but that aim stage was massive and might just be enough to hold it together. Never Fade Away on this Tracer is able to keep things going. 98% finally as UCSD retakes the point, but Crax is one fight away from victory.
Yeah, no, and that, what we see there is just the counter comp does not have point presence. That's what it comes down to. They don't have anyone who can get on that point and stay there. So even though they were winning that fight, they were not able to turn the point for a very, very long time. Craig's doing an excellent job stalling that out, and now they're in a really, really good spot here going into this final, what could be final fight.
Beat Fests on objectives like Control are always best bet. As you see, the Shatter Pulse Bomb combo finds both tanks. They go ahead and clean up the objective. Overtime now ticking away. Sports and DPS just trying to touch. The barrage does find Rymazing. I think it is dead, done, and dusted at this point. Cryx showing the Brawl strength that they have right now as they go ahead and lock down Objective Alpha. This trickle going to continue onward, but I do not think it's going to get the value it's looking for. 100 to 58 as we go ahead and see the Village going to Cryx.
Yeah, and again, I got to give props to Cryx here. They played that very, very well. Good use of the Cemented Teleport. We want to take a moment to appreciate this incredible first barrage as well as Zinnia doing an absolute amount of work there on the far of this map. Unfortunately, not quite enough. UCSD does go down 1-0 on the map. But again, I just want to touch on, very, very good use of those symmetric TPs. Very, very good job understanding their win conditions and exploiting that. They know that UCSD does not have that point presence, so we're going to abuse that. We're going to stay on this point. We're not going to let you get picks on us, and even when you do, we'll start the point and get a lot of percentage off of it.
That's absolutely true. I'm intrigued to see how this ends up turning out, because now Cryx is opting for the dive as well. Definitely not its cover from the far here as we head into Shrine. It's going to be up to UCSD to really use that dive to their advantage as you see the Discord Orb coming in from Mind Fan, but Rymazing's in that backline aggressing on the Sports with Bumblebee. Already fell as they go ahead and push into the choke point for UCSD. That's control of the objective. Going to go to Cryx. A very early start. UCSD going to have to be watching their backs and actually changing up strategy quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it looks like they want to take the Brawl v Brawl here. A common misconception about the comp that Cryx is running is that it is a dive comp because it has that Winston D.Va, but no, it plays much more like a Brawl. It looks like UCSD just wants to take the mirror and see what they can do.
All right, well, the hack does come in. Never Fade Away coming in on that Sombra. Going to be getting a lot of out of this brawl as they go ahead and isolate this backline. Princess trying to zone them out best they can, but there's only so much that you can do with the Peacekeeper. 30% and climbing right now as Cryx on this rotation, trying to keep UCSD at bay. The picks are coming in for either side to try to keep control of the objective. As we see Kindred go down, the Pulse Bomb from Rymazing cleans up the DPS line, and it's just not going to be enough. EMP from Never Fade Away, probably going to want that for the next fight, but make it at least an easy cleanup for Cryx as they continue to hold and pass the halfway point.
Yeah, no, definitely a good job there by Cryx, able to use the space they had very, very well and mount a good defense. Now going into this next fight, they have a very clear ult advantage, and UCSD now is stuck between a rock and a hard place. They need to get a clean fight here if they want to have a chance at another one.
The goal is to get Hirsch out of mech right now. Zinnia pretty much the only counter to the value that it could get, and this could be the moment, but the self-destruct goes into the back line, ends up finding two in the trade right there between UCSD and Cryx as we see the Pulse Bomb again catching the cheeks of Bog as they go ahead and head into final fight territory. UCSD having a very difficult time trying to hold up no matter what they do. The Dragon, Cryx, open mouth, spraying of that fire every which way to Sunday, and not even a contest to be had. Cryx takes a bite out of Nepal as they go ahead and lock down their first win of the day.
Yeah, that is a very, very commanding first victory, we'll say, on this first map here. And while I did mention that, Control is, a map type that doesn't play like other maps, I think it's fair to say that what we saw from Cryax will probably transfer onto other maps here as we get another look at what Zinnia was able to do on that Pharah. I want to touch briefly on that, though, is Cryax playing a comp there that is very, very good. It is a variation of that 6-man composition. They traded a Tracer in for the Reaper that is usually there, and they did an excellent job with it. The point of that composition is you want to get onto your opponents without having to use your composition's movement cooldowns, right? And they were able to do that beautifully. Didn't have to use the Winston jump to get in there. Didn't have to use the boosters. We're able to get onto UCSD and just go absolutely crazy on them, and they're able to come away with a very commanding first map win.
Yeah, it was interesting to see them switch over to to their version of the rush as a counter to the dive. It didn't really make a lot of sense. Just kind of made them easier cannon fodder, so to speak, because like you said, the Tesla cannon's going to be able to tear through that shield and defense matrix relatively easily, and with the support that they've been getting on the main tank, I mean, they were just able to kind of tear through that. So either there needs to be a little bit more DPS focus or a lot more DPS focus coming in from that Reaper to shred that main tank line, or it's going to be a change of strategy. Now we're heading into Escort for our next map. We haven't gotten a choice yet from the teams as to where exactly we'll be heading. Actually, as the producer comes in, Route 66 is going to be the choice coming in from UCSD. So I'm a very wide open map, Misfit. Why would they choose something so wide open when they had such a difficulty on a place like Shrine?
Well, like I've mentioned multiple times already, the Control map type does not play the same as other map types. I think this does kind of move to their strengths. What we saw them come out with initially on Shrine was that Brig Zen composition with the Echo, with the Tracer, and I think that can find a lot of value here on a map that has these long sight lines. Zen is, of course, in the support category, but if you ask a flex support like myself, he's really just a DPS character, and he loves those long sight lines that he can just play, throw in a lot of that damage, get those Discord orbs on to the back line for his Tracer to go get kills with, and it is a composition that we could see a lot of use here. I believe it is what we would expect from both teams here. It is possible to see some other things. Wouldn't rule out some double shield. Also would not hope to see some double shield. That is a very boring comp to watch, no offense. So, I would expect to see a Brig Zen mirror here at this level of play. So, I'm looking forward to it.
That's true, and I would not be surprised to see if they continue on this dive composition as a defensive measure. But we are going to see a swap of the teams as well, though. UCSD coming in on the attack this time around, where Cryax is going to be taking on that defense. And I wouldn't be surprised to see Cryax come out with a dive of their own, but there are a lot of strategies. Actually, this one was one I was thinking they might have in the pocket that's been coming out a lot recently in the competitive scene, this Orisa D.Va line. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Orisa D.Va line is kind of a countermeasure comp. So it's very, very good at countering a lot of things that main comps want to do. The D.Va, very survivable on her own, has that defense matrix, and the Orisa, of course, can set up on, kind of wherever she wants. You still have access to the Halt that she brings, which, gives you a lot of access to good combos. Specifically in this composition, we'll probably see some pulled dynamites come out between Kindred and Ry-Mazing. But overall, it is a composition that seeks to just prevent compositions from setting up. Specifically, compositions that play very pick style, very poke style, like we see from UCSD here, running out on the rock and roll.
All right, well, let's go ahead and see how they utilize that space to their advantage and see if this rock and roll in the country setting gets a little bit of value as they go ahead and rotate around in front of Big Earls. Already seeing the headshots coming in, never fade away. She is popping off on that Tracer. Ore taking Mind Fan down and utilizing the res to get back in for Hinge. As we see Hirsch and Ry-Mazing just dominating here on the sidelines, able to take control of that mega health pack and continue to keep UCSD at bay for now.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing right now. The support line and Kindred, along with Ry-Mazing, sitting up on top of Big Earls, while Hirsch and Fade kind of look for these picks on the side, and they're running it really, really well right now. Fadeaway is getting a lot of value on this Tracer, following up on Ry-Mazing's shots.
We go ahead and see the rotation onto the outside. Interesting positioning, but it does give them a little bit more natural cover from that high ground. But nevertheless, somebody is going to have to get on that high ground and take care of Kindred and the rest. Amazing. Just the rotation. Zinnia not able to get the value that they were looking for. And even without the pocket, Princess having a hard time facing off against the scope of Bry Amazing right now. And Hirsch is going to go ahead and finalize that shot, sending the Princess back to the bump.
Yeah, Bog is going to need to be able to find a dive here on the high ground, but I think what they're waiting for is for Zinnia to be in a good position to follow up on a dive, but they're not able to do it. Bry Amazing getting the pick there, and their plan just kind of fell apart.
Yeah, right now they're just, the difficulty that they're having is just rotating around this corner. So much space is given to Rye Amazing and Kindred right now, and Never Fade Away is just able to come in the back line. No! Unfortunate roll through for Bog. Ends up catching the tail end of that pulse bomb as it gets set off, taking them and Mindfan out of the fight. 2 minutes already off of the clock, Misfit, and things are looking really rough for UCSD.
Yeah, especially with all the ults online right now for Cryex. This isn't a comp we see have a lot of really, really good ult combos, but it is a comp that has a lot of really good individual ults.
Uh-oh, double shield now coming out. As the self-destruct goes into the tunnel. It's not going to be enough to take anybody out on its own. Fast and fierce as Kindred and the rest of the team drop down. Never Fade Away on the exit to make sure that nobody gets away safe.
That is a very, very clean fight and a great example of why Cryex is performing so well. They're doing an excellent job of catching UCSD in rotation, and it's just they're not ready for it. Cryex has an excellent sense of timing, and right now they are setting the pace in this match. UCSD looks lost right now, and they need to find themselves if they want to get back in this one.
Let's see how things continue forward. Only 46 meters, so press on the objective. So we go ahead and see the rotation, and Zinnia, they're on the low ground, looking for a good stick for that pulse bomb right on the cheeks of Orisa. Only gets Immortality Field, unfortunately. Not going to gets that out of the way, but doesn't get the value that you were looking for to actually get them off of that high ground. And now it's the Tracer battle. Zinnia and Never Fade Away, indeed trying to fight it out as Princess invests the bomb onto the high ground. Very interesting positioning right there, opening maybe that the extra gun, similar to a Torb turret, might provide some value, but gets melted immediately. And that is going to be a shutdown once again. The bongos coming out as well as the Bob. The Transcendence sucking up a majority of the damage. Now we are in overtime. That cart barely making its way to Objective Alpha as the double shield fights it out on point. It's going to be a rough one, that's for sure.
Almost getting a little bit of a crunch there with the D.Va remake. Unfortunately not going to find anything, and UCSD can't quite stay on the point. Cryex is going to take that one. A very, very commanding hold from Cryex there, as they only need to push, what was it, 60 meters. 60 and a half meters, that's all they need.
Yep, just a little bit more, and that's going to be victory number 2 before the halftime for Cryex. But it would not be the first time that we have seen the stronger first point hold coming in from the defense, and that might be the UCSD tactic. Try to push as far as you can, and then just lock that sucker down. We'll go ahead and see what compositions they come out with here in a moment. Looking in the chat, seeing a lot of love for the side of Cryex. Pone Hirsch supremacy. As we see this beautiful, possibly a Wrecking Ball Orisa comp tentatively on the attack.
I would expect to see that move over to a Sigma, probably with Kindred being there on, or could be another D.Va there. I do want to touch on Hirsch briefly because something I see from D.Va players a lot, especially in that composition, is they're a little too conservative. They go in and they want to find those kills, but they're very, very aware of the fact, hey, if I get demacked, we're in a lot of trouble here. Hirsch doesn't care. Hirsch just runs it down, and he's been getting those picks left and right, and I just wanted to give him a bit of the spotlight just for that.
And I think that's the good thing about it. I mean, you see it a lot in hybrid, especially on places Ani, where the Diva's job is essentially be everywhere all the time,
Yes.
please. Be on the objective, be up here defending us, and Hirsch is just doing so well at keeping their head on a swivel as they swap back to the Diva once again. And already halfway to the objective, we see Rymazing on the cart, and now has the power boost coming in from Bumblebee. If the Rymazing wasn't already deadly enough, they are now going to be isolating out this high ground advantage as we go ahead and see the damage coming in. Kindred just jumping up, the horse being unleashed onto the high ground, and that is going to be decimation for the side of UCSD with not the ability to be able to get back in quickly. Bog just barely able to touch. Spin to win only going to get you so far, though. Zinnia last to fall. That's going to be Objective Alpha captured, and Cryex taking the 2-0 lead as we head into halftime.
Yeah, I know. I would have liked to see UCSD go for the spawn camp there just because of how much progress was needed for Cracks. Once that pick came through, Rymazing onto his enemy Ashe counterpart, I just felt like that one was over. Rymazing doing an excellent job all map on both characters he played. Got to give him the map MVP. I know it was a very much a team effort, but I mean, that was some really, really stellar DPS play on that Ashe, and can't ask for much more.
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely call-outs in the chat for some nerfs to be applied to Rymazing, so we'll see how we can do that during the break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more amazing Open Division action in just a few moments. Welcome back, Overwatch fans, as we get back into this amazing round 3 matchup in the winners bracket of Open Division 2022. Cracks so far are leading the way 2-0. Their matchup against definitely not UCSD. As they go ahead and continue on. Hopefully, though, UCSD has gotten into the closet a little bit, pulled out those brooms. I would love to see some reverse sweep action.
Yeah, that definitely would be exciting here, but Cracks seems to have a firm hold on this map, and it looks like we are going to Numbani for the hybrid map type, which does not bode well for UCSD here. I know it was their map selection, and they obviously must feel confident on it. But I mean, just going based off of what we saw last map, the same composition that we saw from Cryax is pretty viable here, especially with Rymazing staying on that Ashe. I can't expect this one to go any other way, hoping though that UCSD can surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of for compositions such as double shield, or if they want to go completely to the wall, pulling out a bunker here on Numbani. This high ground, especially on Point Alpha, is so amazing for controlling the objective. But something that I've also been noticing is just the lack of control that UCSD has just had in the situation overall. Cryax just seems to be everywhere and nowhere at all times, and UCSD just having a hard time finishing out those rotations every single time that they were getting in. So I'm thinking you got to go, especially on the attack, with a composition that's going to be able to rotate a lot faster, be able to take that space a lot more aggressively, so that you don't have to worry so much about getting bit in the keister every single time you touch the objective.
Yeah, no, you touched on it again, but Cryax just has such a good sense of timing, and they have great positioning as well. That's kind of how you mentioned it feels like they're everywhere and nowhere at once. It's because they know exactly when to engage and where to engage from, and we're seeing it very well. The follow-up is there. All 6 players know what the objective is, know what the win condition is, and they're putting all their efforts into focusing on that.
Yeah, we'll see how that continues on as we get prepared to head into this matchup. But a swift reminder, make sure to hit that heart, punch that bell, so you get notified every time that we're online here at Reflash, whether it be for Open Division or otherwise. Lots of amazing tournaments going on here that are produced by Monkey Bubble Reflash, so be sure to be checking all that action out. I do have to say, the DPS line of Cryax has really got me going. It's not very often that we get to see female DPS players shining, and Never has just been amazing on the DPS line, has definitely been not only outshining their counterpart on the other team, but just seeing them play across the scene has really been leaving a name for themselves on the Cryax team.
Yeah, no, definitely the DPS line from Cryax and Never Fade Away has been very, very solid all around. Normally, as a support player myself, I like to highlight the supports, but the supports of Cryax hasn't really had anything to do quite yet. Like I'm just calling it is.
You know, they DPS. That's what it's coming out to.
No. All jokes aside, though, I think Cryax is just a very, very well coordinated team. Whoever's calling for them is very, very lucid in their calls right now. It doesn't really seem like they're making too many big mistakes. It hasn't really felt like they've lost a fight since that first fight on Nepal Village way back when. Yeah, but I do want to give a quick shout out. I mentioned Hirsch's name before, but I also want to mention Kindred doing an absolutely stellar job holding things down. I would imagine, because this is how it goes in Overwatch most of the time, as you know, the main tank is usually the one making the target calls, and it does really feel like the focus is there from Cryax. I never really see someone get hit with some damage and then not get followed up on. It's either Hirsch or Never Fade Away there, especially on that last map, but I would expect once these cops get unveiled that we're going to see something similar come out from Cryax on this map.
That's absolutely true, and I'm excited to see what UCSD comes out with this time around. They're coming back on the attack and looking to possibly utilize a dive composition to go ahead and work their way in as well. That isolated Zen Brigitte, though, that definitely worries me based on what we saw on Shrine for those few moments that we did.
Yeah, it is a very difficult composition to run. It really revolves around how well your Brig and your Zen can stay alive. They need to have very good positioning, and the D.Va has the hardest job in a composition like this because she needs to be able to get her players in, but also able to peel for her backline, and it is a very, very difficult job. We can see if Blucher is up to the task.
All right, as we see the counter dive coming in there from Cryax, coming in on the Winston D.Va themselves, utilizing the Ana instead. Those anti-nades so far have been absolutely deadly when utilized properly. As we see the rotation to the high ground for UCSD, we'll go ahead and see Kindred already taking some space. Princess coming in on the Echo, but no additional support on that, so going to be an interesting rotation to see how they get past the scope of Rymazing.
Looks like UCSD just trying to stage right now, but Cryax hunting them down. Zinnia has not had a moment to breathe. They've just been getting hunted this entire time, and now the counter dive will come out from Cryax.
All right, as they go ahead and make their way onto the high ground, getting sports out of the fight, Kindred and Mindfan get traded, but with Tinge down as well, that means no support for the side of UCSD. The Pulse Bomb finds Booker, but Never Fade Away does get sent back to spawn by Zinnia. Unfortunately, the DPS are not going to be able to take the point alone and will have to retreat to the safety of UCSD.
They will have an advantage here. Cryax will not be able to fully set back up. They will be kind of rotating when UCSD gets on here, so this is a great engage right now. They're going to force point and force Cryax to kind of play uncomfortable here.
Princess has to be able to close that gap right now. Rova getting a lot of value on that Ana, and you see that Nano getting ready. Those Discord orbs, a huge value as Mindfan and Kindred get traded once again. This seems to be the target of everyone's obsession right now, and as soon as they go down, it seems to be the Cryax show. 2 minutes remaining on the clock. Self-destruct to get back into the remake as they go ahead and keep Objective Alpha locked down.
Yeah, no, the support line of Cryax doing an excellent job staying alive right now. That is really what they need to do. They do need to get the anti-nades in there and the rally packs and all that jazz, but it is most important that they play in a position that forces UCSD to use an extraordinary amount of resources to get on them. It drains resources from UCSD. It makes it much easier for Cryax to find these picks, and they're doing a great job right now.
Go ahead and see Princess now duplicating over to the D.Va, looking to utilize to take down this high ground advantage, but they're not getting the healing that they need to be able to fortunately get taken out of the mech and out of the duplicate form. Do you see the dive trying to go in and take him out? Zinnia with the cleanup, though, finds the double kill with the Pulse Bomb. This might be the opener they need, but with Bob on the field, it's going to be a little bit difficult to hold it all together. That cleanup has to be fast and fierce, and right now, Booker is running all which way from Sunday. Self-destruct on the field, ready to go as they go ahead and start cleaning up Cryax as they feed their way back into the objective. That's going to be first tick coming in for them as they go ahead and continue on their fight. Go ahead and see Self-Destruct going into the back line, finds the double kill as they go ahead and continue on zoning the objective with that minefield. The utilization of ultimates being a lot more costly for UCSD as they continue forward, but they got to keep this in their favor the best way that they can. Never Fade Away, finding the double kill, and indeed not fading away just yet. The focus just isn't there. Almost getting caught by their own Pulse Bomb is hinged with the beautiful stun. Comes in just in time. But now we're heading into final fight territory with only 10 seconds on the clock.
And a very, very good re-engage there from Cryax. Is able to buy them a little bit more time. But it's looking scary with how many ults UCSD is investing right now.
That's true, and with the Pulse Bomb already down, Princess has got to get that duplicate online. Self-destruct, get sent into the back line to try to take down Princess and Hinge. Massive anti-nade as the follow-up is looking to come in. Boggs does find Bumblebee. That might be the opening that they need. Now Princess coming in on the duplicate Wrecking Ball, looking to go ahead and indeed make some wrecking happening. Gonna wreck it here on the objective as we go ahead and see the minefield already unleashed from the duplicate. Bob invested by Rymazing, and that's going to be it. The Bob just barely able to hold on to the objective for the side of Cryax as the remaining members clean up that point. 63.5% as UCSD is on the cusp of heading to the lower bracket.
And this is why I mentioned that I was a little bit worried about UCSD picking Numbani, and that worry came down to Rymazing on the Ashe. Utilizing that high ground very, very well. Had a lot of really nice picks in that match, and almost brought it back single-handedly there in the final fight, throwing that Bob down on the point, able to pick up a lot of kills. Even though they died themselves, they were still able to find a lot of value on that Ashe. And it's so difficult to displace a good Ashe on this map. There's a lot of places they can run to. There is a very, very oppressive high ground angle that they were playing the entire time. and they were also defending their supports. Rymazing being there by Kurova and Bumblebee made it a lot easier for them to stay alive because, you have the threat of the Brig Bash and the Whip Shot, but you also have the threat of, hey, you come near these supports and you're going to take a bullet in the head for it. And Rymazing just absolutely stellar job there on Cryx's defense.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see a little swap in strategy, to be completely honest. Maybe going over to like a Sombra per se to hack out some of the defenses, or at least to be able to assist with the tank line early. With the scope that we've been seeing from Rymazing thus far, the Echo didn't seem like the primary choice, especially without a Mercy in tow to make sure that they stay alive at all times. But we're getting ready to see it happen once again. Nothing changed on either side as they go ahead and push into the objective.
It'll be an interesting first fight here. It's going to come down for me to see how well Mindfan can stay alive. Has had some trouble with that, thanks to Fadeaway just being so good on that Tracer. We'll have to see if Hinge can keep them alive, and that's already they're going to fall.
The immediate first pick every single time for Cryx. It's like they have got a target right on their forehead. The cleanup now coming in from Cryx as they go ahead and continue working their way into the objective. And it is going to be it right here. The staggers continue to come through, but Cryx doesn't seem to be too worried about it. A very swift and clean, precise cleanup from Cryx as they go ahead and continue their run in the winner's bracket and relegating UCSD to the Dregs.
Yeah, and that is a very, very dominant series right there. Cryx kind of doing the world speed run right there of a series of Overwatch. They just played a phenomenal match all around, and I got to give them props for it. Every single member came up big when it was their time to shine, and they are much deserving of staying in this winner's bracket.
That is true, and UCSD definitely didn't just kind of meme their way through this match either, especially when you're coming in as kind of a newer team. Sometimes working the kinks out is all a part of the experience, and obviously they've made it this far in the winners bracket, so they're obviously not a bad team, but it's going to take a little bit more finessing, a little bit more strategy to be able to push through the likes of these more competitive teams like Cryx. And thankfully they get that second chance in the lower bracket to bring it on back. I would love to see them or another collegiate team get that run going today. So we'll go ahead and possibly see them later on. When we come back, we're actually going to be heading to the lower bracket for our next match to go ahead and see what team is already going to be sent home very early in the competition of Open Division. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Overwatch action in just a few moments.
Justice reigns from above. Justice reigns from above.
And welcome back, tanks, healers, and damage dealers, to the 2022 Open Division playoffs as we are continuing through the rankings. So we head on down to the lower bracket for round 3. See which of these teams are going to be going home. Will Bastion Fishing indeed catch a whopper? Or will Q, I think that's how you're supposed to say it, the question mark, Q, be a longer than expected? We shall find out. Back once again, myself, Captain Jack, with Misfit on the mic. Misfit, I'm familiar a little bit with Bastion Fishing. I've definitely seen them around the scene. Q, or who they're representing, Hyperion, is definitely a team that I don't have a lot of recognition with. So tell me a little bit about what you know.
So I do know the Hyperion org from my time in the Owlet tournament. They were a pretty solid team. They were very, very strong in their division. I know the person who runs the org. I wasn't aware that they had a team competing in Open Division. And I do not know much about any of the players. So I am unfortunately not that big a buff on Hyperion, but you can always go check out their Twitter if you'd like to learn more about the team. That will be at Hyperion_OW if you'd like to check that out. But yeah, other than that, I'm excited to see some more Overwatch. Our first match was unfortunately a little bit of a... Oh, we're already going into game. Wow, I don't even have baseball talk. I love it.
Can't say that I'm surprised. You know, if you've experienced Open Division ever, you know sometimes we are at the mercy of the players as to when we're going to go into game. We're going to be starting off on Nepal, but as you were saying, Bastion Fishing has been relatively known around the scene. Their main sport player, Secret, does social media for NYXL, so definitely a lot of attention on this team as they go ahead and come in. Q, I will note a note in their sheet. Second place winner of Garden State Esports 2021. So team definitely has a little bit of skill coming into Open Division. Let's see which of these are going to be moving on to the next round.
Yeah, no, we can talk about this matchup we see here. Both these teams opting for the Symmetra, but that is pretty much where the comparison ends. They are running very, very different compositions. One with the double shield, one with the brawl. So this will be a nice matchup going forward, I hope.
All right. I do find the double shield a little interesting. It doesn't allow you to be as aggressive as we're going to be seeing from Q, as we see Seeds and Manatee holding this objective pretty much hostage with the help of Sven on this Symmetra. There's really no way for Bastion Fishing to push into this other than kind of rotate around and poke at a distance, but there's only so much poking that you can do until you end up getting your head shot off like there, with OSR getting shot down by Roga. Gallium with the trade though, trying to open things up as the Symmetra Turks are off the objective. Sunshine looking for those early picks as the amplification matrix gets released from Gallium. 22% and climbing right now as Oser back in the fight. Gravitic Flux comes out for November as they go ahead and clean up that objective. The poke battle working out in the end for Bastion Fishing, but without 33%, still going to Q.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised we didn't see Q engage a little bit harder once they were able to get some picks there. They kind of waited back on point and kind of tried to play their advantage, but given the disadvantage that Bastion Fishing was at, I would have liked to see them go in a little bit harder.
Yeah, now the fight is going to be just getting to the objective. As we all know, the composition can be difficult if they don't actually get onto point. As you already see November getting the pick onto Werex and Roga to start things off. Non-binary on the point, rolling on through with the horse. Able to keep that point secured, 33% and climbing as Bastion Fishing continue reeling them in.
All right, so what Q needs to do here is rather than try to go to point and just get flanked on either side, they need to take the engagement on the high ground. The way Brawl beats Double Shield is they force them to group up and then run them down with that Lucio speed boost. And right now, avoiding the fight is not going to work out well for Q.
Well, honestly, I'm a little surprised that they're not using, well, I guess not the Metra anymore, coming in, or Sven coming in. The teleporter, Roga with the Deadeye, Barrier, and Amp Matrix all in for Q, pretty much throwing everything down, but the kitchen sink and at least a self-destruct and a beat going to be enough for them to hold on, but will it be enough for the fight to continue?
That was a much better job there. They did path the point, which was risky, but teleporting onto the high ground not only caught Bastion fishing in a rotation, they were also able to force them, you know, to get a little bit uncomfortable, weren't allowed to play that high ground position as well, and they did what I said. They needed to take the fight to them, and that's exactly what they did.
All right, well, now it's going to be up to Bastion fishing to dislodge this again. Ore moves onto the objective, the amplification matrix once more released for Gallium. As we go ahead, see the point flipped without a single contest. Gravitic Flux now coming out as the teleporter allows Q to rotate around the outside. Gets countered by the sound barrier and the pulse bomb on Roga's cheeks. Takes him right out of the fight, and the flip once again is just a musical objective right now between the teams, but Bastion Fishing isn't giving up without a fight with these absolutely amped out ultimates coming into play. We'll go ahead and see Bastion Fishing retake control as we head into what could be last fight territory.
Yeah, no, Q really has to, you know, figure out what they need to do here, I guess. They got the window, they've got that self-destruct here. I would assume they're going to throw the self-destruct, try to dislodge some positioning, and then get to the point, or they're just going to force point, but they've lost Werix, and that could be a massive pick here.
That's true, they have gotten the train. Oh no! Self-destruct gets caught on the lip of the... doesn't end up going past the shatter, finds nothing but shield, and Oser is in the back line with a boosted tactical visor to clean it right on up. Both teams fighting it out for glory, but only one can take it away. 100-94. Bastion Fishing locks down the village as we head into map 2.
Yeah, no, I definitely did not like that. That's one of the reasons I don't like that rotation there for a Brawl composition, is because it's so hard to mitigate all the damage from a team playing that high ground position. And unfortunately, Werix going down when he's got the ult that you really, really need in this situation. Definitely not a good look there from Q, and they're going to be looking to turn things around as we get into Shrine now.
I'll see how this continues on. Both teams still looking at that... at utilizing those shields to their advantage, but it's going to be up to Q to really be putting in that extra use of Magatsu with that Lucio. Like you said earlier, utilizing that speed boost to really close it in. Still utilizing that Symmetra, but non-binary swapping over to the Wrecking Ball for this fight.
Yeah, so now we're going to see this Brig Zen composition that gets a lot of play at the higher levels. Oh, it's some nice little Symmetra teleport. Doesn't find anything.
As he said, taking them where they are. Bastion Fish for the place there at the beginning. Picks coming in their favor. Roga on this Reaper is definitely pumping out some damage, but it looks like their team will not be long for this world, as just shy of the 10% mark, we will see Bastion Fishing take control of the objective.
Yeah, so the Bastion Fishing is run here. I like to call it the rock and roll, because you got the ball, you got the Sigma. I think it is a very, very good composition on this map, and what it's really going to seek to do is control angles and control parts of the map, right? So Q, again, same type of thing. The way you beat Poke as a Brawl comp is you want to out-rotate them. You have that speed boost, which means you can run people down. You want to go after the support line, force them to grow up with people, and just, you got to run them down, really. You can't get caught in transition like this.
Ooh, as you see Sunshine already finding the elimination onto Sven, having a day on that Symmetra, as we see Werix going down soon after. Sunshine not allowing anyone on Q to shine when it comes to the plays. as we see the percentage continuing to climb for Bastion Fishing.
Yeah, and now they would. This is where I would look into maybe getting a bit of a comp switch in here. Maybe going dive. Dive is really good at countering something like this because you can just immediately get onto the back line. And it does look like they will be opting for something different. It looks like they're actually going to go for a full mirror here, which is risky considering that the ult advantage will now heavily be in Bastion Fishing's favor.
That is true. As we go ahead and see the rotation and Ore past the 66% mark, only a third remaining. And Sven going down early once again, this time to November. As we go ahead and see the rotation rolling right on in, non-binary with a big slam in the middle of the room. Goes ahead and locks it down once again. We're heading into last fight territory, and Q needs to make it more of an exclamation point than a question mark.
Yeah, Bastion Fishing now coming up here on all of their ultimates and a final fight situation just does not smell. Yeah, that just might be it actually.
Yeah, the tracking there as we saw the rollout from Seeds, just not able to get close without getting absolutely melted. Bastion Fishing are gonna reel in a whopper here on Nepal, bringing us up 1-0 in our series.
Yeah, it looks like an SMM diff right now. Great plays coming out from all the members of Bastion Fishing. They just look to be a lot better so far in this series. Q had a pretty solid look on what they were trying to do, had some good moments, but overall just did not have what they needed to come out on top there. Would have liked to see some better rotations, would have liked to see some better decision making from their shot caller, but I say this every time I cast, Control not exactly the best measure of how a series is going to go because of how different it plays than every other map in the game. So wouldn't count them out just yet, will be their map pick as they are the losing team of this map. Important to note here though, with their backs against the wall, they could be going home if they lose anymore. So they're definitely going to be looking to get back into this, and I would expect them to pick whatever map they have that they are absolutely sure they can win on.
That's the difficulty about being in the lower bracket, especially so early in the tournament, is that essentially you've got one foot in the grave at times, at least when it comes to continuing to participate in the remainder of this double elimination tournament. So one of these teams is going home this first weekend, unfortunately. And so far, Bastion Fishing, they're just enjoying the view.
Yeah, no, they've been playing very, very stellar so far. Do want to give a quick shout out to O5R, making some great plays on the Soldier there for their team. That is definitely something you want to see. Soldier is a very underrated pick in Overwatch 1. I know right now on the Overwatch 2 patch that Owl's playing on, he's a bit of a must-pick broken character. But that's not what he is here. He's a pretty balanced character. He's just a little bit too much of that jack-of-all-trades type character. There are... if in Overwatch, when you pick a composition, you try to min-max as much as you can, right? So you'll go for something that's just better in a situation for the map. But, the Soldier is better, or is, as good in a lot of situations, better in others. Maybe not so good in a lot of places, but I think he's still a very viable pick in a comp like they were running the double shield and that rock and roll. So I'm loving what I'm seeing on the legs.
Yeah, and I mean, Soldier has just definitely been getting a workout across the scene because whether you're experienced, Soldier is just, it's not a bad pick all around. You got the healing, the tactical visor with the good vantage point, can clear out a couple of squishies, and those Helix rockets always giving a dose to anyone that is either far away or is trying to close distance on you. So it'll be interesting to see if they continue to utilize that in their composition going forward. Thinking about what we've seen so far from Q, Misfit, what do you think the ideal... Never mind. I was going to ask, what do you think the ideal situation would be for them to pick? But we're heading back to the best place to get your kicks, Route 66, another good view of Big Earls, and see if this indeed will be the moment that Q gasses up, or if there will be no fuel for sale, because Bastion Fishing took it all.
Pretty sure Bastion doesn't run on fuel, but we'll see as we get into this next map.
It's definitely
what do Omnics run on? What are they powered by? I actually don't know this.
That is a good question that I
Arc
also...
reactors, courtesy of Stark
do-
Industries.
I mean, probably something similar to that, I would imagine. Some kind of internal nuclear-powered fuel source, you know?
I mean, like,
So-
I don't know. That's weird, but that's besides the point here. We're getting into Route 66. I don't actually hate this map pick, them. We saw that they wanted to go into the mirror of that Briggs End spam composition near the end of Nepal, so clearly they do like have the prowess to play it. We didn't get a big chance to see what they could do on it because, of course, they were already so disadvantaged in that map. There really was no turning that one around. But now, with the fresh start on this map, where they get to decide the turf they're fighting on, I expect them to do a little bit better here. And if they are capable of running that rock and roll composition, this is one of the best points to do it on. You have a great routing, or pathing rather, for a ball should that be necessary, but I guess it won't be. They're not even going to... Yeah, I'll just stop right here. It looks like they're actually going to go with dive, which I don't hate. Also very good. There's a good high ground on this first point on top of Big Earl's gas station that you want to make sure you're dislodging people from, and I think a dive composition is a very, very good way to do that.
Well, as we've already been instructed by the team, we do have to note that the Svenji is coming out.
That is the Svenji.
The Svenji, apparently, as we've been told. So be keeping a lookout for that. We'll see how deadly it is going into this double shield composition of Bastion Fishing. You know, I questioned it on Nepal, but it worked out very well, poking out that damage and really taking control of the area. I love the Widowmaker pick from Sunshine. Let's see how many heads she can make that Sunshine shine through.
We'll have to see as we get into this first fight here. I'm a little curious of the Lucio pick. I definitely would have preferred to see a Brig here. Brig just so good at keeping that on alive. However, considering that there are no flankers like a Tracer or an Echo on the side, Bastion Fishing might not be necessary.
That was a nasty clip coming in from Sunshine and anticipating the dive, and then not able to get the value that they were looking for as Oster runs them down. That's going to be a clear of the objective as the DPS continue to send Q back to spawn.
Yeah, so Sunbread now taking this aggressive hold. Don't hate it if you find a pick here. Will stall out your opponents, but still a very risky thing to do. Of course, you got that Mercy Res online should you need it. Now we're going to see Q go over to the double bubble. Bet as soon as I say that, 05R winning out that Soldier 1v1 or 2v1 if you count the damage boost.
Yeah, it is just looking like a definite diff coming out in the Soldier v Soldier battle right now. But Sven, able to find that elimination on the Sunshine, does get rezzed up by Gaslight, so not going to be out the fight for long, but Benji is finding a little bit of value.
Yeah, now we're seeing a little bit of an issue with Q's plan. It looks like they're trying to, win fights based off this Nano Blade, but they're not close to getting a Nano Blade or Attack Visor online. They might need to opt for a Nano Winston and just look to farm next fight.
We go ahead and see them work their way in. Sunshine relegate back to the spawn point as 5R does go ahead and clean it up. Attack Visor already online. Amplification Matrix really not necessarily needed, but with the way that Gallium keeps rolling them up, it should be a pretty quick route to another.
Yeah, now we will see Sven got a lot more ult charge in that last fight. Will be coming up on that Nano Blade. So what we're going to see here is a definite Nano Blade. No defensive ult for Bastion Fishing. They will have the, the Immortality Field and a lot of ults that could potentially counter it. The Attack Visor, the Flux is kind of what I'm thinking of right now. But it's still going to be a very, very good counter.
There it is. We see the blade coming out. Gravitic Flux trying to shut it down. That's like Mortality Field, and Spence does end up getting one, but with everyone so spaced out for Bastion Fishing, there wasn't a single target that really Sven could get their hands on, at least within range, without taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, Q really did not do a good job supporting the Genji, and their Svenji kind of just went in alone there, to no fault of his own. There really wasn't much follow-up going in. Usually what you want to see in a coordinated Nanoblade attack is you'll see the Winston go in very aggressively, put his bubble down to separate support so everyone's, in disarray, and then the Nanoblade comes out, capitalizes on that disarray, is able to find some picks, but we didn't see any of that there.
All right, Sven once again getting that early pick. Going down well, the bring Sunshine back in. allows Roga the space to be able to utilize that visor double. Go ahead and take Sunshine and Gaslight out of the fights, and now we're going to be getting out of the Widow territory and seeing this Soldier run the gas station.
Gaslight will go on to that. Gaslight, I believe that is Secret, actually. I think Secret is on an alt account for that one. We'll see, though. But yes, Gaslight will be going on to the Brig here, which I like. We'll be able to deal with that Genji a little bit better and help protect Gallium from these dives better.
All right, well, let's see if they continue on as we coming in onto Manatee from Sunshine, who's also swapped over to the Cassidy. You see the rotation coming in, high ground being taken control of, and now the TAC Visor 5R loading out on the objective. Roga able to get some trades with Helix rockets both times around. The Gravitic Flux races everybody off that objective. We could be looking at another first point hold for the side of Bastion Fishing here on Route 66. Just nobody wanting to see the rest of this amazing map. You know, ready for Overwatch 2, and we have all seen it before. So let's go ahead and shut it down early. Bastion Fishing locks them down at 72.68 meters.
Yeah, definitely not the worst push I've ever seen on this point, but still could have been better. I feel like Q really shot themselves in the foot going for that Nano Blade combo and not really being able to capitalize with it. Typically what we want to see in those types of composition is the Winston will, you know, take damage, kind of farm up Nano for the Ana, and that Genji needs to be putting in that damage, which is very hard to do against a double shield comp like that when you aren't doing hard engages, right? They were kind of just poking, trying to find angles here and there, couldn't really do it. You know, Genji can't really farm Blade when all he can shoot is shields. And, you know, having 50% ult charge after 2 fights, that may be where you decide, okay, let's just switch to a better DPS character, Nanomore Winston, and win this next fight. And they never made that call. Now we're going to have to see if they can perform the fuller hold here on Route 66 to keep their hopes alive.
That is true, and I find the possible composition that Bastion Fishing is coming out with definitely living up more to the name of the game mode that we've seen. A little bit more fishing, a little bit more memey, a little bit more chaotic. I would really love to see it come out, because that's kind of when you can tell the skill difference of a team. If they can switch onto a completely unordinary composition and still be able to pull out the dunk.
Yeah, and that's another important thing to know. You mentioned the unorthodox comp. Getting beat on a comp like this is going to do really, really bad things for Q's mental. It's very demoralizing to get beat by a team that you know is kind of stunting on you. And so that'll be something to look for. If this is a very dominating victory here, I am not liking Q's chances on the next map.
Yeah, let's go ahead and see how this works out. Roga now coming in on the Widow main. Sunshine Hanzo. So still the sniper v sniper battle going on here. O5R in the backline. Ore finds Sven. A little out of position. Some rotation in there. But with the high ground abandoned, Bastion Fishing with non-binary sending out the hooks left to right and center. They're looking to take it home big tonight as they go ahead and clean things up. Gallium here on the high ground trying to take out the lone mercy of Magatsu. Seed's going to be the last to fall, and I think that is going to be hook, line, and sinker for Bastion Fishing as they go ahead and take the objective, lock down the win here on Route 66, and put Q's backs against the wall as we head into halftime.
Yeah, it really does feel like Q is lost in this series. Roga did have a very nice TAC visor, which you will all get to see a nice view of here. But overall, I really did not feel like they had it this map. It was their map pick, but the compositions they ran showed that their understanding of this map may not really be that good. I really do feel like they are kind of relying on maybe more comfort picks to get them through this. Soldier Genji with a dive composition is definitely not something that is viable in really, really high rank of play. You can make it work here and there, but they couldn't find an opening for either character really to shine. And I really don't like their chances now. Getting beat by Ryan Roadhog here, that's definitely going to cause some, demoralization in the chat.
All right, well, I am always the underdog. Q, I'm going to live up to that question mark and see if maybe they can pull out the reverse sweep after this half. Back with more Open Division action in just a few moments. And welcome back, Overwatch fans. A little bit of during the halftime break, they were first matches yesterday were 2, and today they're first to 3. So we had to rile them back in, say there's one more Q, you got one more shot to bring it back. And what better place, Misfit, to take it than Kings Row?
Absolutely outstanding map. And finally, I'm hoping we'll get to see Bastion Fishing live up to their namesake here. Of course, that statue Bastion comp being something we do see in some competitive play. Not exactly at the highest levels, but it is always a strategy that you have to be ready for teams to throw out in a situation like this. Back against the wall would make sense. It also makes sense for Bastion Fishing to do it because, you know, Bastion and you guys get it. I don't need to explain this, but yeah, Kings Row, absolutely fantastic map, community favorite. I saw a great tweet the other day. This is a little off topic, but I want to throw it out there. The tweet basically said the reason that people love Kings Row is because Second Point, unlike most hybrid maps, doesn't have a really oppressive high ground that you have to push through. It's just like a normal like map. Not really. Who plays high ground on Kings Row?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of areas that you can utilize the high ground.
Yeah, on first, though.
Well, even on second, there's the point above Mega, there's the railing, and then the high ground that you essentially have to either rocket jump or hook to above the spawn point going into Point Bravo. But like you said, it's very few and kind of far between that those high grounds are utilized. It all depends kind of on positioning of the team.
Yeah, it's mostly based on flank routes, really. Like, those are off angles that like an Ashe or a Soldier or a Tracer might play, but you never see like a whole team grouped up on there the way you would see it at like other oppressive high grounds. So I think that's the point they're saying here. But that's a little off topic here. We will be getting a OG really brawl mirror here. Both teams pulling out the Rein Zarya. I haven't seen that in a while.
That is true. That means both teams are looking to be aggressive. As we see Sven coming out on this and just speeding through ahead of the Reinhardt. Ori having to go into high school just to be able to stay alive as they go ahead and rotate their way around. Sunshine on this high ground looking for those picks. As we see, I believe Sven is away from the team, and I'm not 100% certain why this composition works by sticking together. Gotta stick together if you want the victory. Roga Ore going down first, but it is a little overwhelming. Not a lot of damage coming in from the side of Bastion Fishing, but it looks like they'll finally be able to force Q back to spawn, but just barely. Looking a little iffy there.
Yeah, and now Werex will have this Nano for next fight, which does give a bit of an advantage here to Obese Manatee over November 12th, and that's simply because, you know, Nano's just Nano, right? Nano does a lot more damage, gives you that damage resistance, very, very good ability to use on your Reinhardt, but if you lose a member that early in the fight, there may not be a chance to use them.
I mean, the good thing about it is that at least I was going to say having your Rein in the fight help with the CC, but that's a team kill, ringing out loud and proud. Bastion Fishing not allowing any space, no holes for Q to be able to slip through.
I think November 12th is gonna try to hit him with the funny shatter.
No!
That's 6.
It was coming! You gotta check your corners every time! Oh, you hate to see it, but it's always so good! As we go ahead and see another team kill ringing out loud and proud, not without its own losses. November and 05R do go down. They're going to be able to get back into the action relatively quickly.
Yeah, no, and I do want to point out that is why you always, if you're a Rein player and you don't see a Reinhardt, he's behind you. I'm just going to say that right now. General rule of thumb, if you do not know where the Reinhardt is, it's too late.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, I saw that from some other clips in OD today, that some teams going for funky flanks, and all it took was checking your corner once. And they were able to take the dub. Beautiful pick coming in from Sunshine, though. Still getting a lot of value on Maker. We're seeing, I believe, the LA Gladiator strat with the full rotation on the high ground. Going back to Season 1, they go ahead and now take the defensive positioning. Bastion Fishing having to move back to the spawn area of the enemy, catching seeds as they're coming out of spawn. Unfortunately, Zarya not going to be getting into the fight as soon as they were hoping for. Thankfully, with Sunshine out of the fight, though, that provides a lot of for Q to get their work on. The only one remaining is O5R. Took a bit, but they're going to be able to lock down the objective. But let's take a look at that shatter again. That was... unsuspecting the entire time.
Yeah, it looks like Bastion Fishing is going to keep this Widow. A little bit of a risky pick, if you ask me, just considering that there is that many good angles on second point, but still can't find the value. Sunshine has been very good on it so far.
All right, the sight's coming out, so now Bastion Fishing nowhere. Especially Ben on that flank. We do see the Blossom come out, grabs the Immortality field, but not much else. It's going to be up to the remaining members of Q to be able to clean things up. Sven having a difficult time trying to isolate out O5R. That isn't going to be much. Somebody's got to stay on that payload, though, thankfully. Magatsu does keep an eye out for that and doesn't lose too much pressure.
Yeah, now we're approaching a very, very dangerous territory here for Bastion Fishing. They've kind of let this one get away from them. Q has a really severe ult advantage right here, especially with that Blizzard coming out now.
The Blizzard from the top rope. You'd think we can coming out and dropping the elbow, but it's Mage ripping the snowball. That's going to be Objective Bravo with 3:13 on the clock. Q doing a really good job of closing that gap from the first half.
Yeah, Sunshine getting a huge pick there, and now with the Attack Visor coming out, no beat there to save them, and that is going to flip this right on its head. Bastion Fishing putting up a great first hold here on third point.
Yeah, very aggressive takings of the objective from Bastion Fishing, and now I think with Sunshine the Hanzo, we're going to see a lot more controlled damage coming in. But once again, is November. The shark waiting.
Yeah. You betcha. You betcha.
Come on, Manatee, you gotta sit. The rotation coming in. All it takes is half a second to check that corner. As you're coming into the objective, thankfully the only one lost was Manatee. But we will see O5R getting that follow-up with the use of the Amplification Matrix. And there comes the cleanup. The Shatter coming in for Manatee as well, but the follow-up just isn't there. Gets eliminated as the Shatter goes down. It's going to be an unfortunate lost ultimate as we see. I actually didn't notice that non-binary also swapped over to the D.Va. So the longevity of these fights are definitely hurting Q.
Yeah, no, and I do want to point out there a little bit of an overinvestment from Q in that last fight, using the Nano and the Shatter when it seemed already lost. That was not the best decision from Q.
All right, the Dragon Strike comes in. They are looking to see if they can grab a pick. Magatsu does go down to Sunshine at the beginning of all that, but that looks like it's going to be just about it. November finally going down.
Oh.
On Surge. Non-binary, a little hungry after all this fighting. With a minute remaining on the clock, ultimates are coming online for both sides as the payload keeps moving its way forward.
Yeah, it looks like Q still vying for a little bit of control here on this payload. Would like to see a regroup here, but the ult are going to come out, and that is not a good person to lose.
Magatsu again, and Roga getting booped out of position by Gaslight. Gets no value on the Balasa Attack Visor into Oblivion. They go ahead and lock things down. Apologies, folks. Looks like we're having a little bit of technical issues. There we go. A little bit, internet spikes and all that jazz. Just the way that it is sometimes. Shatter comes out from November. They go ahead and close the gap right now. Roga getting the Nano. Seeing if they can dole out some extra damage with those Hellfire shotguns. Gonna try to see if they can chase down non-binary and Gallium. going to be unsuccessful in that venture. But now we're heading into last fight territory for time and for objective. The self-destruct goes down. Doesn't find the value it's looking for. Magatsu with the beautiful beat. But Manatee gets sent over the side by Gaslight. Dragon Strike over the objective. And that is the clean sweep. 0.12 meters. As Bastion Fishing racking up another team kill before heading to the attack.
Yeah, and Bastion Fishing really does seem like they're letting this one get out of hand. It is very clear at this point that they are kind of just having fun. I noticed very late, actually, in that map, they've flipped main tank and off tank. They now have non-binary on the off tank and November 12th on the main tank. Maybe that is how they play Brawl, I'm just saying. But given how November 12th was playing, I honestly would not put it past them to say that that's what they're doing. That was a lot of flank heart that we just saw there. Things that really hurt them there towards the end of that third point was the fact that they threw two ultimates into a fight that was already lost. They threw a Nano onto the Reaper after losing someone, and then they also threw a Shatter into the fight, even after two other people had been killed. So that was a really big misplay there. Without that happening, I think they would have full capped. So Q definitely got a little bit of momentum back in this series. Now we're going to have to see them what they can do against a Rein Winston. Yes, you heard that correctly.
Getting a little bulldozer comp coming in. All right. Although the rest of you not here for it. Not going to be allowing those to be allowed on their objective. 05R does find Roga, though. So that's going to be a quick pick for the side of Q. But for the most part, they're holding strong on this defense as Seeds takes down non-binary in the back line. 05R looking for that rotation, already halfway to the tactical visor. They see the barrier, Maywall rather, trying to zone out. November 12th, going to be unsuccessful. Thankfully, the fight's going to be going back to the objective. Roga now swapping over to the Cassidy. Looking to get that Peacekeeper into the action. November having a little bit of a difficult time right now with the way that this is working out. The Shatter comes out, gets nothing through the amp tactical visor that's being released. Sunshine, she's in the back line, pumping out damage on these Pulse pistols, but the follow-up's gotta be there. The trades just keep coming in on either side. Q holding on for dear life to keep this objective in their control, but it might just not be enough with the way these DPS are playing. Seeds sending the self-destruct high, but gains no value other than clearing the point for a matter of moments. Then immediately demeched and sent back to spawn. That's going to be objective alpha unless Q has some kind of strategy to retake the point.
Yeah, no, they are going to try a recontest here, but Bastion Fishing has the ult and has firm positioning control here, and it does look like it is just going to go the way of Bastion Fishing here. I thought I heard a male up there. I don't know what I heard that made me think that, but I was really worried there for a second for Q.
Yeah, I thought I had heard that myself as well, but unfortunately, or fortunately rather, they are on to that, and they will have that. The unfortunate part is that they gave up the choke of the objective, which would have been a huge value to them, and oh no.
Oh yes.
No. Are we seeing the Rein from the top ropes? Oh no.
I'm gonna hit him with it.
Oh no!
His name is John Cena!
The 360 shifter coming out from November gets punished. You will not continue to meme on Q as they go ahead and clean up the aggression here. They're gonna go ahead and push back the remainder of Bastion Fishing. Let's take a look at that replay.
knowing they can get that bigger shatter off. Sometimes that's the best counter, you know, 4 of your teammates are down, well, I'll just knock down the rest of your team, then there's no follow-up.
You right. We'll go ahead and see Sunshine and the rest of Bastion Fishing isolate Sven. I'm
yeah.
certain why Sven was all the way up there. Maybe going for, you know, the off the top ropes Mei that we saw last time around, but you know, you could just put up the Mei wall and throw the Blizzard too. It's that easy. November, questionable charge right there, getting us a little gas from our producer, so you know it's worrying at that point. So we go ahead and see the damage coming in on either side. Bastion Fishing pushing that payload forward into objective Bravo. Ultimate's online as the Nano goes ahead onto Manatee, I believe. They go ahead and clean up this objective. Now Tactical Visor coming in for the trade after the Blizzard goes down. Self-destruct. And Tac Visor find each other as they go ahead and look at the shatter. Massive anti to clean it on up Manatee. And Werex saying, this is our time, this is our map. Even if we don't win it out in the end, we can say we held you here.
It does look like Bastion Fishing is slowly being forced to try. You know, they've had non-binary off onto that diva for a while now. But I would expect to see some DPS swaps here too if we don't see this work. Q is playing phenomenal right now. Obese Manatee really taking the reins, taking over here. And Sven with a great pick onto Sunshine is going to whittle off another 15 seconds or more off this clock.
All right, well, we see the shatter come out from November. It's massive in the back as we see Manatee charged into it. No shield to protect the team. Another team kill. Bringing out loud and proud for Q. And that's going to be objective Bravo, adding a minute and a half. That's 2.5 minutes now to go ahead and get to the final objective and lock down the victory.
A wise man once told me that bomb plus charge is an effective combo. And I never really believed him because I never saw it work. I am now going to send him a 5-page apology letter because it just worked. That was a 3-man kill set up by the Ryan charge. Absolutely stellar job by Bastion Fishing to collect that second point.
Yeah, the rough part is whether or not you could actually hit the Ryan and not get countered. It also creates a temporary for that self-destruct. And the shit is fat! Oh, man, off the ground. Q letting down their defenses. They had it handled with that beat, but no, Gaslight goes ahead and sends out the sound barrier of their own. We're heading into final fight.
Yeah, Sven will have this Blizzard online, but we already saw non-binary eat a Graviton earlier here, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw the same with this Blizzard. They will be able to get a lot of positioning. That was a really, really good zoning high noon there, actually.
Beautiful, but now coming out the amped attack of tool Visor, Nagatsu and Sven damaged. Gets the damage into the back line, but it's already done. Not much that Q can do about it, but stagger on to the objective, and now it's just a waiting game. As Bastion Fishing, reel in hand, has caught the prize and is ready to go on to the next round of the loser's bracket. Is Q, although the queen is beautiful, she'll have to head back to the castle for now until Open Division comes around again.
Yeah, that was a very good, I would say, readjustment from Q there. They really came back into that one strong.
On the back and the other team is memeing, well, just take advantage of it. let them meme if they want to potentially lose the match because they think they're better than you. Pull out the strats that you're comfortable with, that you can utilize to your advantage. Definitely a little bit of positioning issues on the side of Q, but it's all a learning goal here in the tier 3 scene. Hopefully they'll be able to take back what they've learned from their competition thus far, be able to come back next time ready and raring to go to maybe get a rematch against Bastion Fishing.
Potentially, a lot of teams do sign up for Over Division though, so maybe they'll just ask him for a scrim or something.
Right.
I think that just about does it here. If we want to pick match MVPs, I think mine is going to have to be O5R on that Soldier. Not going to say he's a Soldier one trick because that would be disrespectful, but of course, pretty much only showing that Soldier. I don't think we saw him on anything else today. Did a very, very phenomenal job finding value on that. I loved how they really did play around that Soldier pick, gave him the window for the tac visors all the time and stuff like that. It was just really fun to see. We don't get to see that very much, especially in the higher levels of Overwatch. So it was a nice, refreshing bit of Overwatch that we got to see today.
I definitely have to say mine is given mine to non-binary. Not only being able to be flexible on the tank role, but still being able to protect your team as best as you can on the off-tank role while your main tank is memeing shatters and whatnot is definitely something that you have to give them props for. But honestly, their play was absolutely phenomenal. Off-tanks really the unsung heroes of Overwatch 1, being every single place that they can be to keep their team protected. You love to see it. Thank you so much to the amazing folks that we have had on production today, Sam Ter, as well as Joey, our observer for the day. We love having you here, and thank you so much for the amazing work y'all do catching those beautiful replays. Mwah! Absolutely perfect timing. If you want, feel free to follow us on social media. You can also follow Monkey Bubble Reflash on social media at ReflashProd, very similar to the Twitch stream you're watching right now. Also, make sure one last time to hit that heart, punch that bell, so you get notified every time OD or any other Reflash tournament comes back to the mic. We are going to be heading over to the other stream. So if for some reason you get caught in the mix, not being able to be transferred over, head over to twitch.tv/reflash_OW for the continuation of today's action here in the Open Division. From Misfit, myself, and the rest of the Reflash team, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.